Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited to share with you the light summer seasonal color analysis makeup tutorial. If you're an existing viewer, you probably already know that light summer is the seasonal color palette that I fall into, and I truly adore the colors as well as what I feel like they've done for my overall confidence. So today I'm very excited to share with you this slightly more dramatic, more elevated, party ready light summer makeup tutorial. Without further hesitation, let's jump into the makeup tutorial. I am so excited. I've already done my skincare routine as well as applied my sunscreen. Today I used the Sun Relief by Beauty of Joseon. Start off with my priming routine using my favorite Physicians Formula Essence of Healthy Mist. I'm sorry if, if I have a little bit of a lisp. I just began my Invisalign for my upper teeth and it's a little hard to talk with them in. So I'm just going to mist my skin. Light summer or summer light. Sometimes it's referred to as summer bright. This is the seasonal color palette that I fall into. So this is almost like a everyday makeup video for me. I am priming my skin and I like to give my primer just a moment to sit in. So after I apply the primer and massage it into my skin, then we can talk about what the primer is. I am so happy to be recording the summer series. This is the color palette that I fall into. Wearing these colors, even before I learned about seasonal color, these are always the colors and tones I gravitated towards in my everyday makeup life. Like the color blue has always been one of my favorite colors to wear, as I just like how it makes me feel and how I look in the color blue. Primer I just applied. The packaging is also a light summer color. NYX the Marshmallow Primer. It leaves a little bit of a soft matte finish, which will set us up for success with our foundation application. Now I want to add a little bit of glow to the skin. L'Oreal True Match Lumi Glotion in the shade 901 Fair Glow. One of the most beautiful liquid highlighting products, as it's very subtle and it's more of a cool toned neutral pink beige. If you are someone who wants to use a highlight but you are worried that highlighters will emphasize unwanted skin texture, this is one of my favorites. It's not going to be the most intense liquid highlighter that you've ever used. It's very much a subtle, no makeup type of highlighter, and especially when you use it under your complexion makeup like we are today, it's going to be even more subtle. And you can also use it over top of your complexion makeup, whether it's foundation, concealer, whatever it is that you use. I like using it under because I like the natural luminosity it gives my skin, because light summer, even though you do have some brightness thanks to neighboring with the spring color palette, overall the finishes are a little bit softer. Now they're not going to be high gloss or high shine. I like using the bulk of my highlighting under my foundation makeup. That way it's coming from the background. It's giving me a lit from within look, and that works well for all three summer color palettes: light summer, cool summer, and soft summer. I love this foundation so much. Roman New Zero Cushion. I wear shade 02 Pure 21. I like just to start by adding a few dots towards the center portion of my face, then I can blend out. For light summer, the ideal finish is going to be something that has more of a natural to satin finish. A lot of resources, they'll tell you a natural finish is a satin finish, but it depends on how your skin is naturally. If your skin is more on the dry side, maybe you want to use more of a natural satin because you want a little bit of luminosity to the skin. Or if your skin is on the kind of more oily side of things, then maybe you'll want a little bit more of a soft matte to help dull back some of the natural shine that your skin produces on its own. Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer. I use shade 1.5 Yogurt Drops, and I'm just going to place a little bit here on the inner corner of my eye, a little bit on the outside. Now I'm going to spread my concealer out, but right here on the very inner corner, I'm going to leave it alone for just a moment so that way it can dry down a little bit and I can get a little bit more coverage. I'm going to switch over to the Sonia G Jumbo Concealer Brush. This is just a little bit smaller so I can blend here on the inner corner of my eye, just concentrate it where I want it. Now I'm going to use a concealer on other parts of my face to add a little bit more coverage, but this one is a closer match to my skin tone. So the Huda Beauty and Yogurt Drops is my brightening shade, and then for a skin tone match, I'm using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Vanilla. To make my application a little bit easier, I'm going to blend with the larger brush For anyone in any of the cool tone seasons, so whether you fall into one of the summer color palettes or one of the winter color palettes, that typically means you're going to have more of a cool undertone to a cool neutral undertone. Overall, there are going to be more cool blue, pink, red tones within the skin. Since we don't have that warmth to counteract some underlying coloring in the skin, like redness in the cheeks, or more blue purple colors in the eyes, sometimes you need to use additional products to counteract and balance those things. And when you are working with products and keeping them very thin so they look more lightweight on the skin, because with the light summer color palette, heavy makeup, whether it's heavy foundation, concealer, eye makeup, mascara, whatever it is, anything heavy is going to throw off the natural balance of the overall look. Using a few different products in specific areas will help to brighten them up and make things look more cohesive. Revlon Skin Awakening Concealer in shade 002 Universal Brightener. Using the applicator it comes with, I'm going to take a little bit here just under my eye where I see that blue purple discoloration coming through. I'm going to go back to the smaller brush. This is the Sonia G Jumbo Concealer Brush. And I'm just going to lightly tap and press to blend out. I know I'm extremely biased because I fall into the summer color palettes, but the summer colors, I find them so calm and relaxing, like the physical season itself. Everything is going to be a little bit more cooler and a little bit more hazy, as that is the overall feeling of the palette. Summer and winter are the cool, or they're opposite in the terms of the spectrum of the year, as normally in winter, the temperature is a lot lower, summer, temperature's higher, but overall, as far as seasonal color analysis goes, summer color palette and the winter color palette, they both have a cool undertone to their color temperatures. That means they're gonna have more of that blue base within the colors. Anything left on my brush, I'm gonna run right over my eyelid to add some color to the look. And for this, I have a new product, NARS Afterglow Liquid Blush. I have shade Wanderlust, which is a light pink purple shade. Here is the shade Wanderlust. That is a beautiful lavender pink. Since I have not used this product before, I want to wipe it off on the back of my hand, and you'll see compared to my nails, Chanel Lavergne nail colors. Color is called Immortal. If you compare Immortal versus the NARS Wanderlust, you can see this is more of a blue purple, and this is be a little bit more of a red, violet, or magenta tone. So this can be really pretty. I'm gonna work with my foundation brush, and I'm gonna work off the back of my hand, and let's see what this does. Oh. It doesn't look like it's disturbing my cushion foundation or concealer. The shade's very, very healthy pink. It's nice. It feels very native to my skin tone. Gives you a very subtle flush of color to the skin with a little bit of radiance to the skin. Here is NARS Afterglow Liquid Blush in the shade Wanderlust. Here's the shade without. It's very, very sheer. I'm sure you could build it up. Since this is not the only blush I'm using today, I am going to just take a little bit more, put some color on the other side. Whatever I've left on the back of my hand, I'm just gonna run over the normal areas that I like to. So a little bit on the sides of the forehead, bridge the nose and the chin. Take what we've already got going on with our skin and just make it feel more natural, more harmonious, because natural skin is not all one tone. This is going to be a little bit more of a slightly more dramatic or more party ready light summer color palette makeup look. Winning makeup look has a bold statement lip color. I'm taking inspiration from the second place winner. There's a little bit of a gradient lip look. I'm still going to make the lip the focal star, so I want to get my lip color on. That way I can make sure everything else is in harmony, because light summer is not the best with high contrast, high impact makeup looks. What's high impact for light summer is going to feel very natural to some other color palettes, especially your winter color palettes. This is going to be very much a no makeup look, because it's going to be very subtle. You might even find that you need to go a little bit heavier and add some more blush, more eyeliner, because it looks like this could make the overall features feel very, very sleepy. Urban Decay Vice Lipstick in the shade WeHo. I did not know what WeHo is, but it's an acronym for West Hollywood. So instead of taking my lip color and just swiping it on, you'll notice I'm tapping on the lip, pressing on the center and pulling outward. And this is going to be more of a neutral, cool toned pink. It's not pure purple cool toned, but it's not going to be a warm corally pink. It sits kind of right in the middle. And for my skin tone, you can see it's add a little bit of brightness to the overall coloring. And it's almost like the light summer way of doing like a concealer lip. It's a light bubblegum pinky shade. Think about some classic colors from MAC. Like the first thing that comes to mind is Saint Germain or Snob lipstick. They are very cool toned pink colors that were all the rage back in like 2012, and I personally loved those colors. And who remembers MAC's Viva Glam Nicki Minaj lipstick? I think it was the second Viva Glam Nicki Minaj because the first one was that more coral pink where she was with Ricky Martin in the advertising promotional pictures, and the second one she had the yellow bathing suit on the pole float, and I think that's when they came with more lavender color. That I loved that lip color so much. To get closer to the picture that was our first place winner, I'm going to create my gradient lip look, and I'm going to use one of the Peri Para Mood Ink sticks. This is number 11. Pink, of course, very fitting. Of course, it's pink. So again, I'm going to start on the center of my lip, building the color. You can see we're definitely getting to that brighter category. Since the lip color that we applied is a little bit lighter than my natural lip color, it's also going to make this more of a statement pink. And you can definitely now see that bright pink color that is going to be the star of today's look. This color taking center stage is going to make that more purpley blush from NARS, the shade Wonderlust. It's going to make it fall more into the background. I almost feel like it's not there because not all the focus is right here. Let's move into adding some color. So I'm going to start with Sydney Grace. Trying to use their products on all the videos, and I don't know how. For the light spring video, completely forgot. I had made a little palette for it in the last minute. I decided to grab a palette from the brand Roman and use that. It turned out really well. I was happy with how it looked. Today we're back on track. So I'm gonna start by using my Sydney Grace Pressed Highlighter. This is the shade Pink Mist. It looks quite white, but on the skin, it is beautiful. Real Techniques contour brush. On the cheek, it takes that pink shift, so it doesn't appear stark white. And using a highlight with a pink shift and using it under blush and any other color product I'm using on my cheek, it's just going to feel more of a supporting role within creating harmony within my makeup look. For today's look, I'm gonna keep that highlight just towards the outer portion of my face, because where I'm applying a little bit of blush in the center portion of my face and on the temples, I feel like that's going to add enough emphasis to those areas. So I want to keep everything focused on the lip, that way everything just stays nice and flowing. Now I'm gonna move into doing my eyeshadow makeup look. From Sydney Grace, I have pulled 4 colors here. This color might look very similar to the highlight shade, except this one is going to be a lot warmer. I'm going to start off with this pinky mauve shade. This was a limited edition color, if I'm not mistaken. This is called Heart and Soul. A fascinating color, because for a lot of people, when they look at these light pinks and purple eyeshadows, they're gonna feel like it's gonna be very much a statement eyeshadow. As I apply it here, much like the Urban Decay WeHo lipstick, it's almost like you're just taking the natural colors that are occurring in the skin and you're brightening them. Light pink, like Elle Woods from Legally Blonde said, it's like a neutral. You can wear it with anything. That's the great thing with seasonal color analysis. When you find the colors that work for you, and this doesn't matter if you are a winter, spring, summer, or an autumn, your color palette, you will find colors that feel like a neutral extension of you. You're gonna show it to someone, they're gonna be like, what do you mean that's a neutral? That's yellow, that's pink, that's purple. It's all going to feel like an extension because you're finding your best colors. And as I build this color up, you are going to see pink coming through, but applied thinly and spread out as a veil on the eyes, it's going to just brighten up the eye area. And a color like this for cooler undertone skin tones, it's going to make the whites of the eyes a little bit brighter because you get that pink purple color, which will counteract some of the yellowy tones that you could find in the whites of the eyes. eyes, or the sclera. Now I'm gonna move to eyeliner just for a moment because I meant to do it before I applied my all over lid shade, but it's okay, we can do it now. I want to tightline to add a little bit of definition to my eyelashes. That way they look a little bit more dense and a little bit more luscious, but I don't want to use something too dark that could detract from the overall look. I am going to use Fenty Beauty Fly Pencil Longwear Pencil Eyeliner in the shade Moon Dunes. It's more of like a taupe gray. So that's on. You really shouldn't see a huge difference, and at some point I'm going to try to tightline on camera, but I struggle because I use a mirror and I'm normally leaning in all different positions. But when we tightline, if you're unfamiliar, I like to take my pencil to the upper root or the upper wet line of the eye, and I like to angle upwards. That way I'm coating the inner wet line of the eye, but I'm also pushing into the roots of the lashes, so that way that looks like there's less space between the eyelashes, because a really bold eyeliner or a really thick eyeliner can overwhelm a lot of summers, but especially if you look at late summer as well as the neighboring season, late spring, it can feel very overwhelmed and very kind of too much, too harsh. I like to tightline first. I normally like to do it before I apply any eyeshadow because I'm not the best with touching my eyes. That's why I can't wear contact lenses, is I just really struggle touching my eyes. Sometimes the eye can feel a little fluttery, but I find if I stabilize, then I move my head in different positions, I can line my upper waterline quite easily. But sometimes there will be a little bit of transfer, and if I don't have eyeshadow on, it's easier to clean it up. We have another shade from Sydney Grace. This is a matte eyeshadow from their permanent range. This is called Concrete Road. A brush from my little Real Technique set. This is the Essential Crease Brush, and it's a small brush because I don't want too much product. Using a light hand and my eyes open, I'm going to sketch around the upper socket of the eye. So if you want to use your finger or brush, you can press on the eye, you can find the orbital bone, and here you'll find the ball of the eye. That little spot in between where the top of the eye rounds and the bony ridge of the orbital bone is, right there tends to be the sweet spot for where you want to apply your socket colors or the colors to add depth. And apply back and forth. You can apply it like a windshield wiper, so left to right, left to right. And then once I have less product in my brush, I normally like to tilt it up at about a 45-degree angle, place it back in that socket line, and then little windshield wiper motions back and forth. But this time I'm adding in a circular buffing motion. BK Beauty number 201. And I'm gonna go back to the Heart and Soul shade. And I'm just take a little bit out on the point of my brush, and I can blend right over that existing color that's a little bit too dark. And as you're comfortable with blending and you find you're getting more used to the back and forth and then the circular motions, you might even find you just raise your elbow up, because that way you can keep it straight in to work on blending out the color. And when you diffuse it outwards, you might find yourself angling it upwards. Take a small brush. This is the number 2 brush from Refer. It is a small flat packing brush. The shade that looked very similar to our highlight color. This is a pressed pigment from Sydney Grace. This is the color Velvet. This is going to be more of a soft, neutral, leaning slightly warm white gold shade. I like to either borrow from the neighboring color palettes, which is going to be late spring or cool true summer, or from the opposite season. So the opposite season is going to be a winter color palette, and the winter color palette that is opposite of light summer is going to be bright winter. This is going to be a color that would do well for the light springs. So with this color, I'm going to press right here on the inner corner of my eye. I'm gonna go back to the BK Beauty number 201, and I'm just going to soften my edges because I want there to be a highlight. But since this color has a little bit of warmth to it, if I don't take the time to blend it out, it's going to overpower the rest of the eye look. And I want this to be more of a supporting feature. I want to add brightness because that contrast alone is going to contrast the cooler tones on the eye. And the brightness and that more yellowy base is going to add warmth, which is going to attract the eye. It's going to pull it forward. So you can see here, this brighter pop is going to come more forward than what's on the rest of the lid. So I want to bring that forward as a brightening feature of the eye because I like to keep the harmony towards the center portion of face, as it's going to pull eyes in. So that way you have this beautiful, what some people call like a triangle of light or a visual point feature. So you've got brightness here, and it creates a harmonistic look. A bit more of that eyeshadow. I'm gonna go right under the iris, so the colored part of my eye. Take my large fluffy brush, and then I always like to go back and use my finger. So it looks a little bit more intense when you first apply it, but it's just going to round out the fatty bit of the lower eye, which is going to make the rest of the eye area look very plump and very youthful. You're applying it so strategically, and then you're blending it. As you blend it, you slightly extend past that initial called heart and soul. And I'm gonna use that to just soften up the edges. Still have the darkest shade in my palette, and we are going to use it, but I feel like I need to get a little bit more of the rest. I need to finish off my cheek look to figure out how much balance and impact I can take on that eye area. I'm gonna apply a little bit of eyeliner, my favorite eyeliner, and this works for any summer color palette. So light summer, cool true summer, or soft muted summer. The Stila liquid eyeliner, what's the full name of this? Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner in the shade Alloy. I like to apply it just a little bit, so I kind of make a straight line from the top of the iris, pull out, and when I find right here on the outer lash line, I make a little wedge and pull back in. That, I don't know where that came from. That's just something I began doing a couple months ago, and I really enjoy it. I'm gonna take a clean brush. This is the BK Beauty number 204, and I am just going to smudge right over the liquid eyeliner. That's already going to be a very soft eyeliner look. Once you get the mascara on, it's gonna look even more subtle, and it's more so to shape the eye, lift the outer corner, and to give a little bit more harmony and structure to the eyes. I'm gonna use my little palette mirror, find the top round of the eye, and I like to make little strokes, pulling straight out. And then I like to find the point right before my upper eyelid starts to shift downwards, and I just very, very lightly pull up at that point. I'm not drawing a wing. This is not a wing. It's almost like a little wedge. And then I just connect the two. So if I come in closer to the camera, you can see it's just this little tiny line with a little bit of a little wedge right there. And then I use that small brush, and it depends on the day. Sometimes I go straight in, sometimes I angle down, sometimes I angle upwards. It just really depends on the mood and the angle and the alignment of the stars as to which placement I find works best that day for me. Before I use the final eyeshadow color, let's get some more color onto the cheeks so that way we can finish off our makeup look. I have another new to me makeup product, new to me K-Beauty brand, and this is the brand Dasique, the Blueberry Sorbet 4-color blush palette. Light summer, I would say maybe light spring, or a true cool summer. This is going to be such a good palette. Look at this. Oh, so good. You have just really beautiful, like, this shade here it's like a whitened, milky peach shade that is perfect for light spring. You have this beautiful light spring pink, or light summer pink, that is more of a neutral cool pink. You have this really beautiful true rosy pink, which is great for either a cool winter as a subtle blush, or for a cool true summer as like a just everyday throw it on with a dramatic look, a simple makeup look. It's an easy grab and go shade. And you have this slightly more muted, cool toned, almost like a gray blueberry shade, which is perfect for adding a little bit of shape and structure to light summer or a true cool summer. For a soft muted summer, this is going to be a beautiful kind of daily wear shade. Quite a few of the color palettes can work with this color story. I'm going to start by using my Real Techniques setting brush, and I'm going to use that light spring milky peach shade. I'm going to use this as my expanding shade. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with what expanding shades are, in East Asian beauty is where I've seen it the most. A half a shade to a full shade lighter of a blushy color to apply here on the inner portion of the cheek, as it helps to firm up this area, plump it up. Think about how some people will use something like a filler to firm up and plump up the cheeks. You are using something lighter and brighter than your skin tone to create that illusion of something coming forward. Anything that comes forward, it creates a highlight which pushes color to you. Colors with a more yellow or warm base tend to push forward a little bit more. So using a slightly warmer pinky shade. Here will give me that expanded, firmed up look. Think about this as your cheek filler without cheek filler. I believe when I ordered this, I was in the US and I purchased this on Amazon. They had a sale going on, but I believe this was around $20-ish. I'll have all the information in the description box down below, but a lot more affordable than any type of filler. I'm going to now use the Phytosurgence Sky Fluff brush. I'm going to mix together the more rosy pink and the slightly more ashy cool tone pink. This is going to be more so on the outer corner, wrap into the temple. If you want to contour, you can. If you want to bronze, you can. I just don't want to today. I want to focus on blush. And for me, honestly, there's moments where I still like to use bronzer. There's moments I want to contour. But since finding out my seasonal colors, learning how to pull different colors from different parts of my color palette, I find blush gives me the joy I was seeking from a bronzer. Like, I can use something slightly more muted and slightly deeper than my skin tone to add a little bit of dimension, a little bit of shape. Because now that I'm using something slightly darker, I can use that to recede an area, and then it's slightly cooler in undertone, which will also push things back, because normally a shadow is going to be cooler in color temperature, so that will help to push things back, and that will help give me more shape. But if I want to use something that has a little bit more of a warming effect, I could maybe borrow from Light Spring or use a color that kind of walks that middle ground, like a milky coral pink, and that will add a little bit of warmth or a little bit of vibrancy to the cheek, and that will just help to really brighten everything up. I've got my other blusher colors on, so let's add our star of the show blush. Blushing blush from Clinique in the shade Iced Lotus number 114. Using the Phytosurgence Sky Fluff brush again, I'm just going to take this color, pop it on the apple of the cheek, and right away we can see we are bridging the color from that more mauvey lilac tone on the eyes into the more fuchsia pink on the cheeks. We are overlapping the expanding shade as well as that more sculpted shade that I applied. Let me go back to my powder brush. There's no additional powder on this brush, but the residual I have from powder on my face, I can use it to soften out my blush and blend it. Because I want to flush the cheek, I want to add a little bit of vitality to the cheek, but I also want to soften it down so that way it's not overtaking the entire look. Now we can go back to the eyes, finish those off. Brilliant Realm, which is a matte eyeshadow from Sydney Grace. BK Beauty number 204, which is a small smudging brush. Once I have the powder on my brush, I want to tap off most of it. And if you want to, you can even take some off on the back of your hand. Over top of that gray eyeliner we applied from Stila, I want to just smudge a little bit on. Then I'm gonna go back to the Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush. No additional product on this brush, and I'm going to softly blend over that. So not a huge difference on this side versus this side, just a little bit more depth. And a color like this more magenta purple, this is going to be a great neutral shade for a deep winter, because this is going to be a great kind of defining or contouring shade when you don't want to use a black. Or this is a great everyday color for a bright winter, because that is your opposite or sister color palette. Using a tiny bit just to smudge over the eyeliner will soften it up a little bit more, add a little bit more color variety to the look, and just feel like a little bit more fun. It gives a little bit of variety, and after all, isn't variety the spice of life? I'm going to try out another new product, e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder in the shade Light Paint, the Real Technique setting brush. And this is gonna be a little bit more of a warm pink, so I can use it to go around the perimeter of my blusher. If something felt too harsh, or like you want to just blend it just a little bit more, pink powder with a little bit of warmth is going to really help that, because if you've been working with mostly cool tones, it will help to neutralize some of that. But also, since you're using a pink tinted face powder, it's not going to show up like you're using a light pinky peach blush. It's gonna have a little bit more of a sheerness to it, which is going to make blending that much easier. And then to finish off our look and just make it feel nice and soft, one of my favorite things with makeup is to buff, and the buffing method is great for all seasonal color palettes, but where you have color palettes that are slightly more muted compared to their sister palettes, so the two muted color palettes are going to be summer and autumn. Those color palettes have more of a muted, hazy quality to them. Guerlain Meteorite Pearls, Light Clair number 2, Rougher number 22 brush. I believe they call this bronzer brush, but it's just a large fluffy powder brush. The hairs are a little bit rougher, so it's going to help grab and pick up those pearls, and buffing it all over is going to help soften and blend everything together. This is almost like your finishing glaze step. Now, we did not forget about mascara. I'm using the Clinique Lash Power Mascara for dark chocolate. Light summer, you want to look for a nice cool toned brown. You can also experiment with some more pinky chocolate shades or gray shades. One of my favorite brown mascaras for cool true summer is from the brand Mood. The one from Roman is also really good. It's a nice ashy gray. This one from Clinique is a really beautiful chocolate brown that is quite cool. It almost looks like an off black, but it definitely has more softness to it than a traditional black. So I'm just gonna apply mascara to my upper lashes and I'll be right back. Benefit Fluff Up Brow Wax, just to coat my brow hairs and keep them in place. My eyebrows are microbladed and I don't want to make them any darker, so I just use a clear eyebrow gel to hold the hairs and keep them where I would like them. You can make your lip glossy or you can leave it more on the matte finish. I love a good gloss. Everything else on the eyes is pretty skin-like. Like, it's not overly glowy, it's not overly matte. I'm just dying to use this. Another new product to my collection, Maybelline. This is their Lifter Gloss 021 Gummy Bear, and this is their new candy collection. I almost prefer this glossy. This is just so much fun. This is going to be the final light summer makeup look. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Last year it was quite natural, quite subdued every day. Today I wanted to go a little bit more punchy, so here is the more party ready light summer or bright summer makeup look. I couldn't be happier with it. Let me know your thoughts on this makeup look, and is this something that you are going to be recreating? I've had a few of you leave comments and message me on Instagram saying that you've been recreating these makeup looks, and when I say it thrills me to know that you are recreating these looks, that these are helpful. They're helping you feel more confident with your everyday makeup routine, as that's why I love makeup for. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, anything, none of that matters. If you have colors and products that make you look good and feel good, and I can help you along that journey, that just fills my heart with so much joy. And that's why I'm here on YouTube, because I love helping everyone with anything that I can help with. That is what brings me joy and what makes me happy. So if you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and leave me a comment down below. Is this a look that you are going to be recreating at home? Until the next video, I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world, and I will see you later. Bye, y'all.